as together we learn to fight like Mike.
I heard about this heavyweight that they were saying this guy is dangerous. He's from Customato's camp. I finally seen him. I was like, man, he was going through fighters like a hot knife on butter.
The way he moved his head and the way he threw punches, no fighter ever did more technically proficient moves in the history of boxing.
He was knocking guys out. Every time he threw the punch, he threw with bad intention, and he wasn't getting hit.
Yeah, here we go today. We're going to get into some serious, introducing some things to you guys that reflect the peekaboo boxing style and how you are subject to get your fighter clipped if you don't understand how this entire science works. So with that being said, I'm going to give you some questions with my team, talking specifically to questions that you were curious about. So the peekaboo style of boxing has always been an interesting topic, but one of the things that we did with my 4 decades in the sport under the tutelage of Coach Anthony Bradley and Coach Kenny Adams was to learn the things that they knew, which stem for over 100 years of boxing, and give it to you in a way that you can digest it. Because when you are under professors, you learn in a way that is not being taught at typical gyms. So that's what we are doing now. So hopefully you can take this in and you can really receive what we're going to tell you when about the footwork, about the hand posturing, learning how to utilize going off of your back foot. So that was one of the holes that we found in the peekaboo, and we had to iron it out because footwork was king. And when you're dealing with legends in the sport, they are serious when it comes down to knowing how to navigate in every facet of the ring. So if you want to learn how to do that, that's what you're about to learn right now. But here are some questions that you guys actually have asked, but I'm going to give it to you directly after we show you one of the snippets from one of the main questions that people have asked was, can a tall person do the peekaboo? Well, Primo's 6'2". And I'm going to let you see what we did as we were filming our peekaboo shadow boxing circuit. This was about free-handed style boxing in the peekaboo style using a tall fighter, and so that you can see exactly what it looked like. Now, this has been crafted by us in a manner so that tall guys could press you back just like the shorter fighters. Check it out.
Now take that to the power, immense power. Good, good. This is how you do it in the ring. Power on every shot, increasing your endurance, mastering the science of power boxing. Good. You have to walk the floor, you have to shadow box thoroughly. You have to do the power drills with the opponents, with your partners. Good. Good. You have to know the proper head movements. Stepping off to the side. Good. Letting the hands go. Bring them right back home. Very good. Powerful shots at every angle. Under, over. Good.
Boom. And what you're going to notice is the head stays moving. No punches are thrown. And this takes, like I said, 1,000 hours consistently, day in and day out, in the regimen, in the manner in which that's how your body and your mind can receive it, and you can develop muscle memory. Because the way we crafted our system teaches you muscle memory, not just a program, but what it takes, how many reps of everything. I see so many of you get in the sparring sessions, especially in smoker sparring sessions, when you travel off to another gym and you get in the ring, and I've seen your clips on social media. I'm not going to say what gym this is, but I see your clips on social media. And then when I see you go to the smoker, now I'm going to tell you what area it was in. It was in the DMV. And I see you go into the smoker, and when you are doing all of that stuff in social media, when you get into the smoker against a real high caliber fighter, you shut down. And not only do you shut down, but you retreat. And not only do you retreat, but you get your ears pulled off. And that's exactly the opposite of what you were going around showing off in social media. And why does that happen? Why do you get in the ring and you can't let your hands go? Why do you get in the ring and not know where you are in the ring? Why do you get in the ring and it's like you've never practiced defense? Why is it that you get in the ring and your head stays on the center line? Easy to hit. Every time you throw a punch, you get countered. These are the things that happen as a response or a reflection of you not understanding how important it is to do the muscle memory training. And that's what you're doing in that 52 weeks guide. Muscle memory. You're going through all of the confines. You're not just shadow boxing. You're shadow boxing and you're transferring it from there to mitts, from mitts to power shield, from power shield to spar vest, from spar vest to spar ring, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 sparring, and then you going into full-blown sparring. So you never leave the ring. Keeping this in mind, I know there are questions popping in. I can't take them right now, but if you have questions, make sure you hop them in there. And I'm going to do 5 minutes where we kind of go directly into some questions that were asked. So you take liberty and listen to this next 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It's a 10-minute circuit. Christopher asked me, I got to answer this because he was the first one to drop it over here on in the metaverse. But that's where we trained for 2 decades almost. And the DMV is home. The DMV is family. The DMV is home of the Bradleys, the entire staff that helped us build the world championship stable of fighters that we did. We were helping Hassan and these guys. And the last time that we went, Keyshawn Davis and those cats were over here, over at Coach Sean's place. So special shouts out to Nick and the boys over there, over my people over, Patrice Harris and them up in DC. Special shouts out to them, my cousin Weasel. Everybody got to remember one thing. Boxing is a family on a different level. And when you in that family, you know, George Benton, my people on the East Coast, is real. It's about their life, you know, and Matthew Sod, my cousins were really, really, really about their life. And then the DMV is such a mesh, man. And then you got Philadelphia. So the smoke just gets thicker. And then now you got Shakur Stevens and them in Brick City. And it's just, you know, it's all the smoke. So take a listen, and here are some questions. But special shouts out for that question. Yeah, I like to represent, and I like to make sure that everybody know, you know, the Gary Russell and those kids, they are family with Coach Bradley. Hold on one second. Oh, absolutely, brother. Christopher Williams, welcome on the Fight Show. Tomorrow's the fight. React when you're in the ring against a bully and they're kicking your anus all over the place. You can't recover, and you cannot get yourself on track to offset what they're doing to you. How do you handle this? You're swollen, you're bleeding. For the first time, you've really been dazed. Mm-hmm. How do you actually deal with that? And that's exactly what we're about to talk about today on Think Bigger, aka the Slick Fighter Edition. Because what we're going to do is make sure that you all have the right tools going into the boxing sport, amateur or professional. These situations happen to us all. So today we have my co-host Stacy in the building.
Hey, everybody.
Good to see you. We're going to go into some of the things that you'll learn about the Slick Fighter system of boxing. You know, it's morphed from the Philly shell, the turtle shell, the all of the other different, the PEEKABOO. They're just a bevy of proper skills that's rolled in together, scenario based. And so Stacy's going to throw some of the questions that you guys have been tossing up at us, wanting to learn what should you do and what should you not do. So I think this is going to be a great episode for all of you to chime in. First of all, let us know exactly where is it that you are watching from on the globe today. We're down in South Florida, loving the sun year round. But when we talk about boxing, we're about to get into it. We're going to also share some comments from former Olympian and world champion Andre Durrell. And we're going to show you guys a couple of behind the scenes training drills that help you with these scenarios. We're not just going to talk about it, we're going to actually give you some of the things that elitists did to overcome those butt whoopings in the ring, because there are only a few times in history when it counted most in those championship fights that the fight was turned around. And it was because of these things. The secrets that you're about to learn, and some people say there are no secrets in boxing. It's nothing but secrets in boxing, because the real giants don't surrender their knowledge. Now, there's a bunch of other stuff that you can learn, but when it comes down to that briefcase stuff, it's not out here. You can't Google it because it's in their heads. That's why in the early 2000s, in the very late 90s, boxing went disarray because there were no teachers teaching the sport. Emmanuel was on his way out, and the last of the Mohicans had totally escaped the game. So that's why boxing took such a hit. And fortunately, I had the opportunity to share and learn from the deepest boxing lineage. So these are the things that I'm going to share with you today. I've had the tip of the hat from my mentor and coach and his mentor and coach. So we get it in.
That's right.
Let's get it popping. So Stace, first of all, the most important thing to us is the people who are on board watching and those of you who had questions. So I'd like to dive directly into that and make it really, really clear. But I do want to share something with these individuals first. And that is one of the most important things when I say I just don't want people to think that I'm the only one saying it. It's the legends, the ones who are currently boxing and those who have just finished their boxing careers. When you're bumping heads against the best fighters in the world, what are the guys who still have their gloves laced? What do they say? Because they've gone through all of these experiences, Olympics, national tournaments, the best of the best, all of these different, what was it, a Super Six with the best fighters in the professional rankings, that they won't do that tournament again because it was so brutal, and then become world champion. What are some commonalities that these fighters run into? And I'm going to play a snippet of our interview with Andre Durrell, and if you guys stay around, you're going to see some actual skills done and displayed. So I'm going to share this with you guys now. So here we go.
It does. It's going to take a big element of confidence and not just skill.
Yeah, right. You can't fake that kind of confidence.
No, you can't. You can't. You have to. You simply have to take yourself to another level when you show up for the trials, for the box offs, and for any other big tournament, for a world championship fight. Doesn't matter. You're always going to have to take a little bit more with you. Even though you don't think you can muster it, you have to find a way to believe you did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And go in there and perform the best of your ability, man. We have to show up in times of, a certainty, man. And no work ethic is going to be your only confidence bullshit to that.
It's going to take things that you didn't know it was going to be required of. Hence is why I like to make it clear to the people who are actually on board and they're watching. And we have coaches under our tutelage that I think sometimes people think they got it. They figured it out. This is a man who's gone down the walks and won, national tournaments and Golden Gloves and been in POW tournaments and has fought in every major national and international tournament that there is in the world of boxing, including the Super Six, which entailed Arthur Abraham, Andre Ward. Just everybody who was dangerous to fight, they all was in called frocks. I mean, it was like one world champion after the next. And so as he went directly deeper into his career, what he found is this thing continues to go up levels. And I don't want our coaches to think I learned a little bit of the peekaboo and I learned a little bit of the Philly shell and I know how to do the box step. And the honest truth is the most difficult thing to learn and master is the box step. Because first of all, it's at first it's a visual and it looked like something that's fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's the actual periodic table of boxing. Now you have to understand why. And it takes years to learn that. But it's a fun endeavor because one of the things that I can think back to, Stace, is when I was learning boxing, I was always high off of boxing. Every day I was like learning new stuff. So I get it, guys. But
Well, in someday I'm going to take the camera to the storage unit and they are going to see all of the Rubbermaid tubs of VHS and DVD. You don't say DVD tapes, DVDs.
Yeah.
Of the education where you were learning from others and you were recording your fighters. We're talking, oh my goodness. Tub after tub after tub. So it's a real thing.
Yeah. And really as I'm going to tell them now, you know, because what I just spoke to was basically what does it take other than skill? And Andre Durrell was making it clear that they're just going to be so much more that you have to learn other than skill. So that's one of the reasons I wanted him to shed light on that point. So they just won't hear it from me. They'll hear it from a former world champion. I always ask Otis, who's the premier physical specimen on the show. Just one of the things that's so enlightening when you speak to people who've actually done it and done it at the highest level. I talked to Shane Mosley. I talked to all of the people that we've had on the show. You know, we make sure that you get to hear it. I made it clear when we had Mauricio Suleiman, the president of the WBC, up here. And that's why we always keep the right knowledge right in front of you. And I said, what does it take to break into the top 25? So people won't just think I'm trying to shed my narrative onto them. So when it was all said and done, he made it clear as a bell. You got to fight real fighters. You can't just win in your little local area. Now, a lot of people try to build up boxing records. You can't fool the WBC. You're not going to get on the top 25 building padding records. So you got to really learn what's out there and what you have to do. And it basically is what we have created the School of Boxing for, so that when you run into those scenarios, you have a place to learn from people who've been in it for generations, doing it at the highest level. So that's all I wanted to say. Now, I wanted to really let people know as we are going on, for those of you who are chiming in, please let us know exactly where you're watching from.
And with your system, I'll let you
for a year standing, because doing the clock on me though, I only want to go in for 90 seconds. So I'm gonna give you a 90-second answer.
Have here at Master Boxing, the abundance of questions that we get. And you know, I will, before I go into this particular one, we get a lot of people just inquiring about the PEEKABOO style. They want to understand what is slick fighter. And it's, you know, these folks, a lot of times they don't even know the box step, like Coach just said. So
thank you guys for chiming in. We're going to let Stacy finish with the question. I just wanted to let everybody know we're getting right to the questions. And if you have questions, drop them down in the comment boxes. If you have questions about the PEEKABOO style of boxing, because that's what the topic of discussion is today. And tomorrow will be the fight show. So we're going to go directly back into this. And if you do have questions about the PEEKABOO, something that's been burning inside of you to know, make sure you drop it down in the comment boxes. And I can't see all 4 platforms, but If not, I will definitely chime in tomorrow and I will host it. I mean, I will talk about it directly on the Tank versus Martin fight show tomorrow with former world champions on the set. It's going to be lit. So enjoy the questions and get your notepads out.
But that being the case, we have coaches that truly reach out and are vested in training and giving their fighters what they need. And I would say, as I went through a list of a lot of the questions that we've gotten as of recently, is like the top of their list is, are their fighters even physically capable of doing and learning the PEEKABOO style?
All right. Well, that's
So
a great
that's
question.
the first
Are there fighters that's even physically capable of doing the PEEKABOO style? And this is a great question because put the clock on me though. I only want to go in for 90 seconds. So I'm gonna give you a 90-second answer. One of the things that I would have you know about the PEEKABOO is it took a total of 6 total weeks of nonstop conditioning just for the torso development. So the trunk needs to be developed. So that means 7 days a week they had to train on it. The day that they weren't at the gym, they actually had to do contortions and develop and reconstruct, break it down and rebuild, because you're going to implement new movement, new motion. And it doesn't mean that you just copy what you saw Mike Tyson do, because that's not it. You have to recreate your DNA structure, your algorithm, and you have to adopt it. And then you have to be very second nature with it once you're doing it inside of the boxing ring, because standing there in the mirror acting like Mike Tyson is one thing, but doing it in the ring is another. I'm going to show you.
Good. You have the combination.
This is the next circuit.
Good.
Of doing the PEEKABOO style as a tall fighter. This is when we recorded this series, and this shows you immense angles.
Knowing how to step off. Beautiful
You never
work.
see a tall fighter moving his head that well, and this is muscle memory. This is what we do when it comes to making sure these guys got this, because I don't want them to get hit in the ring. And boy, this kid
the angles.
hit. But it's all about the repetition that we put in. Look at there, this constant movement with
See the constant head movement.
shots.
Good. Coming out of PEEKABOO stuff. This is how you develop your power of boxing. Endurance. We've won 5 straight rounds. Building up.
That was 5 straight rounds that you had already seen. And I know I've seen a lot of you guys showing your PEEKABOO. Your head is on the line. I've seen guys that got titles right now, their head's on the line. The only thing they got to do is fight Tank. The only thing they got to do is fight the killers out there who can punch them, that really put the smoke on it. And it's unfortunate because your habits are going to be the reason you get into that situation that you're going to get into. You know, you look at Devin Haney. He got himself in a situation. Devin Haney was thought to be one of the most masterful boxers. The thing about it is, if you get lazy on any level when it comes down to boxing, in high level boxing, you're going to get exposed. And all it takes, because people get on your video and break you down to its very last compound. And if you do think that this is not the truth, just see what happens when you do it. And you're going to get exposed. You saw Regis Prograis get in front of that kid and get eaten alive. He got his lunch taken from him, because it's these things that I continue to repeat to you all. It's levels to this game. And if you, after this is over, want to get that chapter of the PEEKABOO, make sure you type the word PEEKABOO down in the comment boxes. And we're going to give it to at least 100 people, because we want you to see what goes into getting that kind of head movement. And you can't do it just doing it by yourself. Let's check it out. Short clip of one of the drills that we would do, but using the PEEKABOO style, it takes an immense developmental system. So it took nearly 2 months to develop the trunk. And all of the guys would tell you from the under their armpits to the lower back and the thoracial lumbar region that they would be extremely sore throughout that entire duration. And by the time that was not the case, that's where they started to really get the understanding, because doing this ain't the peekaboo. Peekaboo is about the peeping over the gloves, and turtle shell is peeking between the arms. So I'm gonna finish right now, last 15 seconds. And so with that being said, it's all about developing that skill. And then it took a total of 848 hours to get skill sets together. So with that being said, it's a lot more to it than meets the eye. And ours is different because we had to eliminate all of that explosive movement and merge into some slick fighter stuff. And that's why it's called Slick Fighter. All right. Beautiful. Now, as my job as a teacher, professor, and educator in the sport, T. Monroe asked a question. He wanted me to go into detail about telegraphing your punches. What's so funny about this is T. Monroe, special shouts out to you, brother, my YouTube audience. Yesterday, one of our coaches that's in the school of boxing, one of his fighters were doing something consistently, pushing the punches. And he said, what do I do to fix this? And I said, here's the deal. You're dealing with something that's very common. Over 67 to 87%, 70% of fighters do it. And this is called pushing your punch because you're leading with your hands. But the reality is you're not boxing with your hands when you box. You're supposed to box with your feet. Boxing with your hands causes you to do all of those bad habits, pushing your punches, telegraphing your punches. Telegraphing your punches is when you show him, if your hand is right here and you go here, that's throwing the punch. When you put your hands right here and then you pull first and then throw, that's telegraphing. Telegraphing is giving him the split second to know that you're about to hit him. And so even if it's just turning your body a little and then throwing, you're telegraphing. Telegraphing is basically taking a picture first. How do you get out of that? Well, you just saw me speak directly to this young man who was doing the shadow boxing. He had to break down. I'm going to give you 3 things that you have to do before you start doing the peekaboo training system. And this helps you let your hands go. It teaches you how to go off your front foot and your back foot. But lo and behold, you learn exactly how long it takes to actually get your torso developed. So the torso alone was like 6 freaking weeks of developing your trunk to do this style of boxing because of the avid movement. And look at this kid, he's 6'2", moving like Tyson, but slippery, left to right, over and under, hooks, uppercuts, combinations, flowing them over and under, combinations that he was actually using during sparring. No telegraphing the punch. If he was doing anything, if any punch was going back, telegraphing, there was a roll pivot that went with it. It was Slick Fighter. That's why the system, you see it at the top. Slick Fighter is a real thing. So it's the compilation of everything. So if you're telegraphing the punches, T. Monroe, the objective is to get 848 hours. But see, this is where you eliminate guys who pretend like they really about that boxing life. Because see, they're not going to do that. Those guys, what you just saw, look at this. You tell me if you can look this good.
Yes. Very good. Nice.
All right, so that's the next chapter. You saw sparring drills. That would be the next chapter in our peekaboo. That's why our peekaboo is second to nothing in the world. If you go through that system, there is nobody that used to put hands on you that will be able to put hands on you and be able to deal with you. That's the difference. That thing is 5 hours worth of smoke. 5 hours. What I just showed you was about 60 seconds. Now imagine how much is in there and how much your body has to actually endure. I wanted to preface it like this. As hard as anybody that's watching this is working, with 134 years of boxing knowledge, I'll have any one of these guys get directly in front of you and treat you like a kindergartner. Because, see, they know more than what you know because they're from a college of boxing. And you're picking up internet help. Coach is telling you a little this and that. The coach is only doing what he learned in boxing, but we're learning from Harvard University of fighting. 134 years in lineage. Anything that you bring, we're going to take it from you. Anything that you want to do, we're going to prevent you from thinking about doing it because we're going to freeze you in your tracks. And that is the recipe. That's what happens when you box according to the system of boxing. That's why they call it the sweet science of boxing. We don't telegraph. We don't make those foot errors because we master the periodic table. This is the periodic table of boxing. This is footwork. So what do you do for footwork? What's your footwork book look like? That's footwork. Every ounce of the ring is covered. So let's see what you're going to do. And let's take it directly from you. And then we're going to have your coach screaming at you so bad that you can't even get focused to think about what to do next. And you're going to telegraph your punches for real now because you're overthinking. And we're just taking everything that you could possibly think of to throw at us away from you. That's not a good feeling. That's one of the main reasons anytime people would come into the gym, I wouldn't let them spar. They had to sign a waiver and a release because I know what was going to happen. It's not fair when you got educated fighters taking guys who think they can fight. And the only thing they've been doing is kind of fighting on autopilot, using their natural or God-given ability, and then throwing punches in the ring. And the coach, the trainer teaching them a few things and they thinking they got it, but they're not even doing it long enough to get muscle memory. That hurts my feelings because I know you don't belong. And Coach Bradley would make guys wait. It would take you 3 and sometimes 4 years before you were able to get into the ring and spar against real top guys. That's why I know none of you really understand the levels of boxing, because we saw it like a grading system. You in high school, son, you don't get this fight against the guys or get into the ring when the guys are in college. And if they're in college, they don't get to go in there and get into the ring with the guys who are professionals, because professional means that's your career. You get paid to do it. So you take it serious. You're not in there trying to win and sparring. You're in there learning. And so their mindsets is in a different place, because if you got into the ring with someone who was a professional, you're in college. So you're trying to show off. They're trying to win $1 million and wear a strap. You get what I'm saying? So it's a big difference. So when I talk about wear the strap, that's the strap. They don't give a damn about beating you in sparring. I watched world champions get their asses handed to them, and they wouldn't even think twice. And then the other guys bragging and stuff. But if they ever get in the real ring, they would have got their asses towed up. So today I wanted to give you guys just a little behind the scenes and conversations about the peekaboo and really what goes on in science, the science of boxing, so that your perception is not swayed, that it's actually clear. And it took, let me see. Oh yeah, I'll answer the rest of those questions after the fact, but just I want you guys to really stay tuned, because tomorrow you're going to learn a lot about this fight over the weekend, and we're going to really give you some real in-depth insight, because you're going to have a couple of champions up here talking about it, and at the same time we're going to really give you the conversation, to the opportunity to ask questions. So if you do have questions about the fight coming up this weekend, make sure you drop them down in the comment boxes, unless you're on YouTube, because YouTube, if you leave it, it'll go away after this stream goes away. But we want you guys to be ready for this fight. We want you guys to be ready for training. We want you coaches to know that there's a place that you can really learn. So if you're wondering how to learn or how to get directly in front of me and ask questions like the other guys, it's really easy. All you have to do is make sure that you take time and continue to follow us for more and find your way in front of me, so that you can ask the kind of questions and take part in our community, because the community is where we teach you how to move through this sport and how to do your training on an entirely different level, meaning crossing all your T's, dotting all your I's, and getting some structure in that program that's all over the place, that you're missing things that you need to be polishing up, and getting enough muscle memory to fight at different levels and not being shocked. So if that's what you want, make sure you get directly in front of us in that community, the School of Boxing. Until next time, continue blessings. I'll see you all tomorrow on the Fight Show, 5:35 Eastern Standard Time. Don't meet me there, beat me there. Be blessed at Godspeed. Drop Peekaboo if you want that shadow boxing circuit. We're going to email it out to everybody that types Peekaboo. And until next time, I'll see you soon in the Winner Circle group on Facebook. Peace.